Yo, what's up, guys? This is 5 ways you can start to quit the impure behavior of pornography. All right, check this out. I'm sure there's a lot of programs out there and apps and this and that and whatever. That's not gonna help you the way you need to be helped. I'm just telling you guys the truth. And I'm sure there's been a handful of guys that had some success in that of being monitored by other men or like downloading an app to their phone. But like the truth is, like, those folks are just taking your money. Like, unless like there's a real reason, in your mind, and a moral reason why you should not do that behavior, and you're just doing it for your own secular purposes of like, oh, I want to be a better man and strengthen myself. You're just worshiping yourself as a little god, and that's you're not gonna succeed, man. I'm just telling you guys the truth. Like, you're not gonna succeed. All right, so here's 5 ways you can start to quit the pornography. All right, shame helps a lot. Self shame. So you could do the apps and like all the record keeping and all that nonsense, but like having some good self shame inside your mind of the poor, disgusting, worm like behavior, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Start to figure out how gross it is and start to paint pictures of shaming yourself on how poor that behavior is. By the way, guys, this is for men. I don't know about women or like I have no idea about any of that stuff. So this is how I would do it. First, um, for the Catholics out there, your life is going to be extremely easier. If you are a practicing Catholic and you are struggling with this disgusting habit and this habitual sin, your life will be a lot easier. And I would recommend, like you other guys, like find a way to kind of work this into your system with like some sort of I don't know what you Protestants do, man. I actually don't know. Anyway, life is easier when you have a confessor. Like, there's a reason for it. It's like this whole like notion of like I confess to God or myself or like my sins have no bearing. Like, I just offer it up to. I don't know what that is. There's no accountability there. It's silly. So, all right. Anyway, I digress. So here are the 5 ways. Number one, if you're a Catholic, your life is significantly easier. So shame, get that shame inside your head. Start to shame yourself. Start to, grind down upon yourself. All right. Step one, go to confession, right? Find a good, holy Catholic, masculine confessor. This is going to take a while. Like, it might take a tiny bit of time to start to figure out like who your confessor is going to be, because you don't want the loosey goosey one that's like, oh, it's an addiction. Oh, like, how long did you watch it? Oh, I'm glad you're here. Nah, man, you don't want that guy. That guy's not going to help you one bit. That guy's just doing his duty in the box. And whatever. I mean, there's a reason for that, and that's fine. But what you want is a true masculine confessor. You'll find those at kind of traditional parishes and traditional churches, and the Latin Mass community. You'll find it a lot there in the traditional Latin Mass community. I don't know anything about the Orthodox folks, but I don't know if it's the same. But traditional Catholic Latin Mass folks, those confessors are always going to be really hard. That was the type of confessor that I kind of fell in with, and that's somebody who helped me a great deal. All right, so number one, go to confession. You got to find that confessor that's going to tell you the truth, and like that confessor that's a man is going to just like grind it out with you, and like get through this disgusting habitual sin. Even you might even see that confessor not giving you absolution because you're not going hard enough. You're not focused in enough on defeating this disgusting sin. One, find a good confessor. Realize what the sin is, like, in your mind. Like, think about, like, the shame part in your mind. Like, that woman in there is being sold, like, was sold, like, completely sold. Like, even if you're like, oh, I watched like interviews with like porn stars and this or that, like, and they're like willing things. There's a ton of information out there too about how they're not. They've been manipulated, abused into it. Like that's the truth. Like these are folks that are being used as utility. And like think about it. You're watching something on a screen and like and watching parts doing stuff, and it's gross. It's just gross, guys. It's just gross. All right, cool. So don't be a buyer of cheap parts sex. That is disgusting. It's gross. It's baseless. It's soulless. It sucks away your soul. Like a lot of you guys know this. You start to become actually soulless, and you probably walk around with this sin, and it's heavy upon your back every situation you're in. It pollutes your marriage. It pollutes your relationships. It pollutes how you view women. It pollutes your daughters. Like, and I could go on and on and on about this for a 20-minute video of how corrupting this the sin is. So first step, find a good confessor. Second step, analyze yourself. How do you fall? Where do you fall? You know this. You could spend a few minutes with a piece of paper and write this down. Like, this is how I fall. If I am alone, if I'm left here, if I have this device in my hand. You know these things, so you must not be left alone. You must not be left idle. You must not. You can start to figure out ways around that. Number 3, shame yourself into infinity. Like start to really like associate like a deep shame of like what you're doing, how this person on the other side of the screen is, like the disgustingness of it, like the disgustingness of like watching somebody else's body parts. Like start to truly shame yourself. The other thing too, like as Catholics, like we see that God created another human being, man, woman, yourself. Like you're all created. Like your body, like in the long run, it's not yours. Like you're a soul and a body in that order. You have to care for both. You're not caring for both when you're watching any of that stuff, and you're definitely not honoring anybody else by like, getting off to their body parts. Like think about that. It's actually gross. Like associate the grossness with it. Go to confession. Understand how you fall, where you fall, what happens as how you fall, and trace all those things back and write them down, not so anybody can see. You don't want to you want to blow it up and you want to get through this thing without making more problems. So you'll know exactly the places where you fall and how you fall and what you fall to and where your mind goes, because you have to train your mind, guys. That's the way you have to do it. Your mind needs to start to get trained, and you need to associate a hideous disgustingness with it and a sin with it, because that's what it is. It's a mortal sin. You're wounding God. You're wounding yourself. You're condemning yourself. The other person you're wounding, because they monetize that whole thing. The whole thing is monetized. Your attention is monetized. Okay, so next step. 1, good confessor. 2, how do you fall? 3, bringing that disgusting shame into it. Number 4, once you find that confessor, go to that same confessor every single time. That masculine confessor that you find that's going to tell you the truth, go to him every single time, no matter what. The shame will start to be so heavy upon your back that you don't want to let that person down anymore. And if you have to go to confession, man, like 5 times a week, like figure it out. Like don't burden the priest. Like don't be an idiot. Don't abuse the sacrament of confession, but start to whittle it down and grind that process out. Like every bit of it. So if you got to go 2 times a week and you can get to confession. It's Wednesdays and it's Saturdays. These are confession times. And like start to associate, like waiting on that confession line, like having to go through that, sorrow and that penance because you committed the sin, like start to go through that process, because that will align a discomfort with your sin. Do you understand? You have to align discomfort with it. You have to align disgustingness with it. So go to the same confessor over and over and over again so they know exactly who you are. Don't trick it. Don't be a weirdo. Embarrass yourself. like scourge yourself basically by going to the same confessor over and over and over again. And in extreme cases, like check this out, guys, remove temptation. If you know you fall when you're alone, blah, this, whatever it might be, start removing it. I mean, I've done crazy things in the past, like to get over this whole situation. Like I did crazy things. Like I was like, all right, smartphone causes this. I can't smash this smartphone because I need it for work. But you know what I can do? I can put it somewhere else and not have it at all. And then I got and I'm telling you guys the truth, man. Like things get so serious. I got a dumb phone. Like I actually got a dumb phone. I could shut this one off, um, and use the dumb phone. So I don't even have the option of a smartphone at all, and I don't have the option of a personal computer at all. I don't even have that. So understand like who you are and what your capabilities are, and then start making some sacrifices. If you want to get rid of this thing and you see how disgusting it is, you have to go through some really hard steps. There was a time when I smashed, old phones. Like I was like, oh, like it's a secret old phone. Like you could look at a secret old phone, no one's gonna delete the history. I smashed it. I smashed it with a hammer. Smashed both of them. So you got to start taking extreme measures to fix this thing. So let's just do a quick review. First, life is easier if you're a Catholic. Go to confessor, find that confessor, go to confession as many times as you need to without abusing the sacrament. Don't be a weirdo. It's a confession too. Like, I viewed improper pictures, 2 times. I did this. I watched, moving pictures like 1 time. Like they know what you're talking about. Whatever. I don't need to say it. You know what it is. 1, confessor. Understanding number 2, how you fall. Like write it down, figure it out so you could kind of analyze your own self. Bringing shame into it, like lots and lots and lots of heavy shame. Go to the same confessor and over and over and over again. Like do it, like, mess with yourself. Like if confession starts at like whatever, Saturday morning at 8 a.m., whatever, and that confession line will be super long at 8:30, like go at 8:30, make yourself wait even longer. Like just like start to associate real discomfort with the situation that is upon you, and a real disgust and a real way to get over it. Because I promise you, like it's going to take a long time, because maybe you've had this sin for a long time since you're a teenager. Now you're, in your 20s, whatever, guys, or you're in your 30s. It might be something like that, guys. I don't know. But you've had it since maybe you're 12 years old. I don't know. Some of you new age guys like have had the internet the whole time. You've been watching like hardcore stuff maybe since like 10 years old. That's gross. And now you're, 28 years old. That's a long time that you've been committing something very habitual and very disgusting at the same time. So that habit is going to take a while to get rid of. So expect that too. Expect that it's going to take a while, and you're not going to be delivered for a while. Like you got to dig it out. Like it's a ginormous tree with a lot of roots. So realize that too. And even after it's gone, I'll be honest with you, like the scars of it being uprooted are still upon you, because your mind will mess with you, and then you got to be able to conquer. You got to conquer those thoughts so you don't fall. And the last, remove your temptations. So maybe that means your tablets, your iPads, whatever you guys got, your phones, like start to remove those things. Oh, I can't. Well, I guess you don't want to get rid of that sin too much. I guess you want to keep doing weird stuff and disgusting things. You can do it. I've done it. It's not comfortable, but you can do it too, and then you'll get over this stuff. That's it. This is a long-winded video, but it's a big subject out there for a lot of folks. And I think lastly, think about how like gross that is, like watching stuff on a screen by yourself in the dark. Weirdo. That's weird stuff. All right, that's it. Out.